one of the other things we can look at here are a variety of Kenneth's verbs that he's using. Let's look at some of his action verbs. We're highlighting them right now into bold, and taking a closer look, we can see he says, I acquired the experience of this job with creating surveys, researching data, questions to solve problems. He later in the next paragraph down says, I have experience interpreting quantitative data, checking and maintaining databases. Down below, my skills include strong verbal written skills that allow me to explain the results. The last sentence in that paragraph, my experience also includes creating charts. So we have a variety of different action verbs. Perhaps he could make it a little bit stronger, but it's not too bad. And let's also look at his adjectives. If we were to pull out some of his descriptive or dynamic adjectives, what kind of picture is he painting for how he's describing himself or the work that he does? In highlighting some of the adjectives, we see that he says here that he has experience working, he's gained considerable knowledge. He mentions that his skills perform in every aspect of the job. He has extensive knowledge, once again, a little bit further down. In the second to the last paragraph, my experience also includes creating charts and tables with complete accuracy. And this last main paragraph here, I have a very strong analytical, critical thinking. I'm confident, will make me a valuable member. So he's using a variety of adjectives that seem to give a good feel. Perhaps he could use a few more, but he hasn't populated his cover letter with too many adjectives. He has a proper number. Looking at this, could we improve this much, or could we add something to this? Well, if you look, one of the things is it could be seen as a little bit monotonous or a little bit repetitive in the fact that he starts the majority of his sentences with I. He begins his very first sentence, I am writing. Then the next paragraph, I have a master's. Next, I have acquired. Next, I have experience. He then says my skills, so he has one paragraph there where he doesn't use I, but he goes right back to it in the next one where he says I have a very strong analytical and critical thinking. So could we improve it? Yes, we could improve it. How would you potentially change it if you were to change one of these beginning sentences from I to something different? Well, you could maybe take let's look at the last paragraph. You could say, instead of I have very strong analytical, critical thinking, perhaps you could start the paragraph with saying, with very strong analytical, critical thinking, you could maybe change the order in that way. So there are ways that you can change so that you don't always begin with I. I do this, I do that, I do that. It becomes a little bit repetitive, a little bit monotonous after a while, even though the rest of the information in his cover letter is quite good. And perhaps he could have mentioned a contact in the company to add a little connection, and maybe at the very end he could have added a little bit more of a memorable idea. However, he does say that he's very confident, his strong skills would be a valuable member of the company if selected, and he's reachable with his contact information there. So overall, we can see that this cover letter is by no means a weak letter. It has lots of strengths, but it could use perhaps a thing or two to make it even more unique.
Hi, I'm Gary Toomey, and in this video we are continuing our series of phrasal verbs in English. Today we're looking at the phrasal verbs to zip in, to zip by, and to zip out. First of all, be very careful with the pronunciation. Zip, the Z sound. Okay, good. Let's start with to zip in. To zip in simply means to visit very quickly. for a short period of time. So for example, I was passing my friend's house the other day and I decided to zip in to say hello. 5 minutes. The opposite is to zip out. It's when you leave a place for a very short period of time. So, wait a minute, I just need to zip out and get a coffee. I'll be back in 5 minutes. And to zip by has a similar meaning to zip in, except it's for a more general place. So for example, can you zip by the supermarket later and buy some bread? This is similar to pass by, or to pass in, or pass out. But it's just an equivalent. To zip in, to zip by, and to zip out.
Hello, this is Sarah Hill. Let's look at the prepositions before and after. Why do we confuse before and after? That's a good question. What came before, the chicken or the egg? Remember that before is for actions that happened earlier or previous to something else. Business before pleasure. It's only 2 days before my vacation. Or I need to prepare everything before the meeting. Before can also mean for place. He had to stand before the judge. It can also be used for time. It's just 2 days before Christmas. Yay! Before can mean a circumstance. You must study before going out. After is used for actions that mean later. For place, you could say the gerund always comes after the preposition. With time, I always have a cup of coffee after lunch. Or we go to the same beach year after year. How about with circumstances when you're chasing somebody? The policeman ran after the thief. Or in the style of, his artwork is copied after Picasso's great works. Or perhaps similar, I take after my father. Perhaps these tricks can help you. 500 BC means 500 years before Christ. Or for all you grown men out there, you need to put on your aftershave after you shave, not before. What time is it? It's 8:01 p.m. Perhaps it's time for some after 8 chocolate. This is Sarah Hill. Have a nice day.